Random Encounter Show. I'm Deathstalker V, coming in again from the painting studio. We're going to be doing something a little bit different here. Make sure you have something to drink. Come sit and hang out with me for a little while. What are we doing different? We're going to be talking about and sharing 3 science fiction TV series that came out in the 1990s that I think are absolutely brilliant. These are top shows to me. And for whatever reason, a lot of people missed out on them or they don't remember them. And to top it off, all 3 of these are available right now here on YouTube. I'm putting a link in the description to the playlist so that if you see something that catches your interest, you can dive right in, start binge watching today. Yeah? If you're new around here, your first time stopping in here, very impromptu videos, especially this one. Like 10 minutes ago, I thought of doing this video. Yeah, so be prepared, you're in for it. But yeah, normally we cover hobby tabletop gaming, especially solitaire play of role-playing games and board games and such. Sometimes we dive off into classic video games, retro scene, etc. and just share a lot of life advice and different things around here. You never know what you're going to get. But yeah, we're script free around here. I'm just an average guy sharing his hobbies, sharing things that he likes out there with the Random Encounter Army, our subscribers here, and just building a nice community of like-minded people. Are we done talking yet? Heck no. Let's start this puppy off, yeah? The first TV show I want to talk about is Alien Nation. Premiered in 1991. You can always correct me in the comments below. I'm working just straight off of memory. But I believe it premiered in 1991. It was based on a 1988 movie of the same title. Now, the 1988 movie, you're going to have to buy that somewhere. DVD, Blu-ray, rent it digitally, pay for it here on YouTube, whatever. But the movie, you don't need to see it to start the TV series. They're based on each other, but they're exclusive from each other. The premise of the TV series is that in 1991, or around that time period, an alien craft crash landed into Earth, and it was full of Tantanese. Yeah, our newcomers, our slag heads, our sponge heads, are just basically aliens who were genetically engineered to be slaves for other aliens. The US government captures them, puts them in a quarantine for a few years, and then decides it is time to integrate them into humanity. And out of all places they could have picked, they chose LA, Los Angeles. Probably because they fit right in. To a lot of people in the world, LA does look sort of like an alien civilization. Let's just be honest, yeah? But we love our folks in LA. And yeah, Alien Nation takes place in LA. It focuses on a police department. There's a Detective Sykes, who is a human, who is partnered up after his human partner died fighting the Tantanese, or in a gunfight with Tantanese. He's teamed up with a Tantanese, or a newcomer, named Francisco. And the show is brilliant. The world building for the show, the Tantanese culture, it has its own languages, it has its own customs, religions, all this kind of stuff. It was a very well done show, I have to say. And the series focuses on those two, Sykes and Francisco, in their work life, working for Los Angeles PD as detectives, as well as their home lives. Francisco has a family, a wife, a son, and a daughter. Sykes, on the other hand, is like a single bachelor guy. Yeah, living in the apartment building somewhere. The show really focuses on a lot of social aspects of humanity. The newcomers, you know, they're some embrace them, others do not. You know, there's a lot of so-called purist groups out there and such that don't want the Tantanese running around. They don't want them to become citizens or have the right to vote or any of that kind of stuff. They don't even believe that, you know, the religious people don't believe that Tantanese are even to be afforded the rights and privileges that such like the Bible or something would give them, because they're not mentioned in it, that it was only for humans. Yeah, it's a whole plethora. Yeah, they really went in and they built this setting and they built these stories and such, and it just pulls you in. There's a million different angles you could look at this show from, but I think it's just brilliant. I was glad to be along for the entire ride of the series. This was something I watched back in the 1990s with my Aunt Lisa. It was on the Fox network. And the TV series only lasted for, I believe, 1 season, maybe 2 seasons. But then it was abruptly canceled. Of course, leave it to Fox. You know, Firefly, anybody? Or any of the other wonderful shows that Fox did for 1 season? Yeah, real heartbreakers. But yeah, and it ended on this extreme cliffhanger. And Aunt Lisa and I were just left in the dust on what happened to on the cliffhanger, because it was a terrible cliffhanger. As in, you didn't know if, you know, main characters and their families and such were actually going to be alive in the next season. So having that come to YouTube and finally being able to see, I believe it was 4 films that came out in the later part of the 90s. I think the last one came out in 1999. They brought back all the original cast, all the original crew, and put it together, and seeing that story finish up, you know, it was just amazing to me. And this just happened this year. I think back to Aunt Lisa. She passed away in 2005. Man, if she would have been around, yeah, we would have had, I don't know, a pizza party, staying up for, you know, 72 hours or so, blockbuster hit with Alien Nation, being able to watch it in its full and seeing how it finished. Yeah, Alien Nation's definitely one you want to check out. It's a little bit campy, but it's also somewhat gritty. You know, when it comes to TV shows, I'm not a fan of the campy stuff so much. Campy stuff doesn't really draw me in. It's fun to watch here and there, especially some campy comedies and such. But when it comes to things, I like things a little more gritty, a little more realistic. And Alien Nation has its campy elements, but it really does a good job at bringing in sort of a gritty side or realism to the show, and makes you care about those characters and love that character development. So definitely highly recommended. Second show up almost has the same premise but reversed. It's Space Precinct. Yeah, this show was originally Jerry Anderson, same guy but behind the Terrahawks, behind Space 1999, Fire, what was the other? I don't, many television shows. Most of them I didn't care for. Yeah, Space 1999 I came close to caring for. In case you haven't seen that, it's people living on the moon, and the moon gets hurled away and flies through space. And it basically becomes a Star Trek show, but instead of the Enterprise, they're just hurling aimlessly on a moon. On the moon, I guess. Yeah, so the first part of that series was really interesting to me, then it lost me. It just got boring to me. But Space Precinct, this one drew me in and it held me. The premise of this, like I said, sort of parallel with Alien Nation, but instead of aliens coming to the Earth and then one of them ended up being a detective, on this side, you have a human, Lieutenant Brody. I think he was New York City detective or something. He flies out to this alien planet. He gets reassigned. And on this alien planet, you have many different species of aliens and such. He works for the police department there. He brings his family along. There's a few other humans that come along and are working side by side on this planet. Is it a planet? It's been a long time since I've seen Space Precinct. I looked it up to see if it was on YouTube, and it's there. My next thing to watch again for like the fifth time. But I can't remember if it's a planet or a space station orbiting the planet, some kind of habitable thing. I don't know. That's not important. Alien cultures abound, and the show is more campy than it is gritty. But it's just gritty enough, and the storyline does develop along in the series enough to keep you interested and to watch the character development. Nowhere near as much as Alien Nation. Yeah, but the Space Precinct was good. The costuming, the puppetry, and stuff that went into Space Precinct was fantastic. So, yeah, Space Precinct's definitely on the list for you science fiction lovers that want something different. Like I said, a little bit more campy. A little bit more campy, especially compared to the other shows we're going to be talking about. But, watching Lieutenant Brody's little family grow up, I think it only lasted one season too. Yeah, this was another one I watched with Aunt Lisa. It came on, I think, the UPN network. Mid-90s, late 90s, and Friday nights or Saturday nights. I can't remember. This thing came on like at midnight or 12:30 or something, yeah? And I had read a little bit about it, that's what ultimately ended the show, was the terrible programming time here in America for it. But at least we got a full season of it. It doesn't end on cliffhangers or whatever. And it's like I said, it's a fun little trip into a little science fiction pocket universe for you to enjoy. Yeah. Now the next one, the one I'm currently working on, because this one's definitely a hidden gem of a TV show. It's called Space Above and Beyond. I read a little description of this show and I looked it up on YouTube and bam, there it is. Basically, the premise of Space Above and Beyond is that humanity has reached a level in technology and society where it's able to colonize other planets. And for the long history of this colonization program and all this kind of stuff going on, they had never seen evidence of alien life. The only big sort of universe-shaking events for humans up to this point was that they had developed AI, basically androids that looked very human, but something went wrong with them. They were hacked. I don't know yet. I haven't finished the series. They went hacked, some programming got off or whatever, and they become fully sentient, and they rebelled against humanity and just took off to build their own colony somewhere, and that reintegrates back into the show as you watch it. But from the first episode, you see sort of the colonists and all this kind of stuff, but aliens do attack. They're called chigs. Yeah? The show explains all this. Like an insectoid or something, an anthropomorphic sort of praying mantis looking bug thing. Highly advanced technology and such. They start attacking the human colonies. So the show focuses on a squad of USMC Marines, Space Marines, that are recruited. You start off with them at Academy, and it's, every episode's a different mission or a different scenario. They're recruited into the war against the Chigs, and it's really gritty. Yeah, it's really gritty. It's right up my alley. The thing that it reminds me most of is the Wing Commander series of video games. Some of my favorite of all time. Yeah? So I'm just loving this series. I can't wait to dive back in tonight with the wife. She's into it as well, so you know it's got to be pretty good. But yeah, and another thing I wanted to say about Space Above and Beyond. Character development is off the rails. Each and every Marine has their own personality, and the effects of war and their missions and the loss of friends and family, their successes and failures, it really plays into their psychology with character development as the series continues. So yeah, definitely gritty though. Excuse me. It's in case you're wondering here, It's like 30 degrees outside. We're going from the high 60s to below 30, below freezing. One day's this, one day's that, and it's playing heck with my sinuses. Yeah? But yeah, Space Above and Beyond. The character development's fantastic. The story, the world, there was a whole lot of effort put into this show. Like Alien Nation. Yeah? You're going to see a lot of guest star appearances of some familiar actors from the 90s that you might not have seen in a long time. Yeah? Some of the actors on this show I actually recognize from the Wing Commander games. That's how, like I said, there's a lot of similarities in these storylines. I wouldn't be surprised if I found out the show was directly influenced by someone playing the Wing Commander video game series. Yeah. But insect people instead of Kilrathi cats. Yeah. But you definitely gotta go give it a try. It starts out slow. Alien Nation and Space Precinct sort of just chunk you in there and off you go. This Space Above and Beyond, it starts off slow because the character development's going to be over this long series, this period of time, and it's very intricate. Yeah? You're going to enjoy it. It's massive game fodder. For those out there like me who's enjoying some science fiction role-playing games and such. This is massive game fodder. I've got a notebook on the couch. I'm scribbling down notes of stuff I would like to incorporate in my games in the future. Yeah, so what else can we say? Let's have a little bonus here. Alf. Yeah? Alf is on YouTube in a big way. If you don't know who Alf is, we're probably going to have a problem. Yeah, Alf has got his own YouTube channel. The company that owns Alf, they've made an entire YouTube channel of Alf. Every season and everything's on that YouTube channel, but they're also doing a live broadcast 24/7 of Alf. Yeah, absolutely. I'm a huge Alf fan. If you don't know what Alf is, Alf stands for Alien Life Form. An alien from the planet Melmac named Gordon Shumway crash lands into the garage of a family, of course, in Los Angeles. Yeah? And he has to live with the family without being caught by the Alien Task Force. Yeah, super campy show. Super campy, but we give it a pass. I love Alf. The humor of Alf is great. You guys know that was one of my favorite shows as a kid growing up, right? Yeah. I just think back to when Alf was actually a big deal. And Alf was a big deal, at least in my part of the world. I remember people had Alf dolls in their cars, Alf paraphernalia everywhere, lunch boxes, t-shirts, all kinds of stuff. You know how it goes, yeah? Sort of like Pac-Man. When everybody had Pac-Man stuff, it was Alf. And I think back to the 80s, of the future we dreamed of, talking about science fiction, that things like world hunger would obviously be not a concern. We'd have solved that. Medicine, there'd basically be, cancer, all this kind of stuff, that'd be non-existent. That'd be easily curable. Wars would have come to an end. Humanity would have finally joined up in peace and would be prospering and making scientific advancements like you've never dreamed of. Flying cars, you name it. Yeah, living on the moon, living on Mars, etc. That was the future we were promised back then. But the one thing we didn't foresee would be that you could watch Alf 24/7. So that sort of makes up for all the things that didn't happen, right? I don't know. Links below. You can dive off into this kind of stuff. We started talking about this last episode, Alien Nation, and even Wing Commander and such. And I've just dove into it. Yeah? And I said, what better to talk about, especially for us gamers, where you can go get ideas for games and such that you may have never thought of before. I think Alien Nation would make a killer RPG setting. Space Precinct would probably make a killer RPG setting. But Alienation, oh yeah. Space Above and Beyond, it already seems like a killer game setting. So, I mean, you just take what you want from there. Now, if you came in for those three things, feel free to leave. We're going to have a little bit of community talk here because that's what this show represents. I may get on camera and talk nonsense when I can, but the real stars of this show is our community, our subscribers, our channel members, and our Discord server, Facebook groups, etc., where we all get together and we share stuff like this more often than not. TV shows, great gaming, etc., and just have a good time, yeah? So each episode I try to catch the community up. We're filming from the studio again because the game table is completely covered still in that big lot of gaming stuff we went and bought in Biloxi. A few things have sold. It's taken time to get it all together, figure out what's what. It's just tons of loose miniatures and bits and pieces and from several different games. Yeah? And it all has to be cleaned and stuff. It was in storage for looks like a year or two. But yeah, we're finding some great stuff in there. Found several BattleTech models, yeah, mecha models. I never got into that, but I don't know. I'm starting to eye it. I think back to another great science fiction series. It's not available on YouTube, but you can find it on DVD and such. That sort of went to the wayside, and I never knew why. I don't know. I need to look it up, I guess. It's called Exo Squad. EXO Squad. It was actually a Western cartoon that was based on a squad of soldiers who got into mecha suits and did missions and such. Yeah, I love the Exo Squad. I've got the DVD set. That'll be on the list to watch again too because it's been so long. But the BattleTech stuff's looking cool, yeah? I'm just so scared of getting into new genres and new games because I have that personality to, if I go into something, I go into it hard. Yeah? So I try to stay away from as much as I can. Because I'm way too broke for the cost of getting into just many different genres of many different games nowadays, yeah? Hobby gaming has become expensive. Just pricing out some of those Games Workshop products that we have from that lot. It's amazing to me the prices that some of those command. And they're older stuff. A lot of this stuff was 8th and 9th edition of 40K. Yeah, this stuff's commanding a price. Even the old books and such. It's amazing to me. That's why I always say make your gaming definitely a hobby. Don't be afraid to proxy miniatures. Don't be afraid to make your own stuff. Even make your own rules if you have to. Because the cost of gaming has just went crazy here lately. Digging through the box, there's some card games in there. Digimon, I know nothing about, but there's one in there that's, again, mecha fighting. It's from the Gundam universe. It's called, Battle Spirit Saga? Yeah, I don't know nothing about this game. Not interested in this game. But I was just looking through the cards, and I'm not even going to try looking this stuff up or whatever. This will be something that I just sell as a whole lot for cheap. Maybe somebody will get you lucky and find a, $1 million card in it. Who knows? Magic the Gathering, this kind of stuff's all mixed in. But it's Battle Spirit Saga deal. It's a trip just reading the card names and stuff. It's like, obviously it was made in Japan. But when they translated it over, there's some funny stuff there. Yeah, one of the things in there was, what was it called? Some kind of buffalo spirit. But it's like an American bison, a buffalo. But instead of ears, it's got like 2 AK-47s. I don't know. I know a lot of you guys are into anime and stuff from Japan and stuff. But this stuff just seems weird to me. Yeah. I don't get it. But it is what it is, Hey, if you love it, love it. Just not my kind of stuff. But like I said, doing the hobby gaming thing, never be afraid to make your own stuff. Yeah? Like I said, it's eye-opening sometimes when you look at the prices of stuff for games that you don't play. It's like, holy smokes, I'm glad I'm not into this one. I'm glad. But just finding all sorts of random stuff. Cleaning it up, getting it listed on eBay. That's the big push here. In other news, excuse me. I don't know, did my testosterone just fall out somewhere to make that squeal? Anyway, in other news, a game designer, I'm not going to say who it is or what we got going, he contacted me and they're sending over a new game they're releasing. It's just coming off Kickstarter. I've got the PDF of it, some of the adventure modules and stuff of it. It's an OSR sort of OGL based D20 style game. And you guys know I'm not normally into those because it's just lately it's what I call shovelware. OSR shovelware. Same old stuff, same old Dungeons and Dragons, just shoveled out with new art and a few changes or whatever. This is quite different. It's low fantasy, but my big interest in it is one of the best one-book resources for solo roleplay gamers out there. Is Scarlet Heroes. I'm not a fan of the setting. I'm not even a fan of the rules replacements for D&D OSR games. I love the toolbox. Take the toolbox, custom fit it all, the tables and such, to your campaign you're playing on your table. Those tools work fantastic. This game coming has a very similar setup, okay? But it might actually outdo Scarlet Heroes. We can't make that call until we get it on the table and such, but just looking at the PDF of the core book and some of the adventure modules and stuff, this one has a lot of promise. That'll be here soon. We're going to dive right into it. And then it's just going to be a continuation of diving into all the stuff that we need to around here. The deep delves, like I said, they're coming up. Once I can get the game table cleared and a few projects I've got going on wrapped up, we're going to get into those deep delves. They take a lot of time to make and a lot of studying and forethought and all these things that I normally don't do. Yeah? But the deep delves, we're going to handle Castles and Crusades, Hostile, Harp, and a few other games. We're going to be taking a look at a lot of games. I've got some solo role-playing game videos in the works. Mostly advice and how-to kind of stuff. That way, as we move along, there'll be resources of learning how to do it and then seeing how to do it, if that makes sense. Yeah? Other than that, it's just going to bed very cold nights and hoping we wake up in the morning. Yeah? That's my new thing. That's my new thing. I love it. I wake up and I call random people that I know just to make sure they made it through the night. I don't know why. Getting all the joy, right? Yeah, and I just call to make sure you made it through the night. It's hilarious to me. Call my mother up. Especially any of the elderly people I know. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe that's terrible. Maybe that's terrible. Maybe psychologically that's terrible. I don't know. It's hilarious though. But I don't even know where I got it from. Probably an old Western movie or something that I watched. Mountain Men or something. You know, checking on each other to make sure they made it through the night. But what's funny is now they call me to make sure I made it through the night. If you call me early enough from my waking, I'm not sure what the answer will be. There's several nights that I'm not sure that I actually want to make it through. Yeah, the world's gone crazy. I call the bed, it's like the second womb. You crawl in there, get in the fetal position, you get warm, it's soft, it's comfortable, you're safe. Yeah, sometimes waking up and you're in that bed and you think about the world and what you got to get up to do and such. Yeah, sometimes it makes you think. Yeah? Sometimes it makes you think. But yeah, making it through the night. I don't know, guys. We're going completely off the rails. This has been the Random Encounter Show. I'll see you guys shortly with a bunch of gaming stuff. Adios.
And this has been but one tale From the days of high adventure, you can join Deathstalker V on his quest by hitting that subscription button and joining his random encounter army. On the channel's About page, you will find our Facebook page and Facebook group where you can get more directly involved with the fun. And make sure you use our affiliate links to support our show. And this has been but one tale from the days of high adventure. You can join Deathstalker V on his quest by hitting that subscription button and joining his random encounter army. On the channel's About page, you will find our Facebook page and Facebook group where you can get more directly involved with the fun. And make sure you use our affiliate links to support our show.